Khushamadi, dosto. Hello, friends. I hope you are having a good time while you are watching this video. I wanted to share a couple of dates with you, and I'll tell you what those dates are about in a moment. 18th and 19th of February 2023. Stories by Avijit Sarkar. Now, the name is not unfamiliar at all. Now, what does Stories by Avijit Sarkar means is something which I do want to explore a little, and I have none other than Mr. Avijit Sarkar right here to tell me all about it. So, good evening, sir, and
Good evening.
I'm glad that this conversation is happening, and I want people to know a little more about Stories by Avijit Sarkar. So, please indulge us tonight.
Well, I always wanted to write short plays. I'm very fond of the short form of art.
Mhm.
So whether it's stories or anything that I create, I like the concise version. I always wanted to write plays and short plays too. So I wrote a few, and then I picked 5 out of them, and then sat down and discussed them with you, sent you the scripts, and I was hoping people would like it because they are not run-of-the-mill
Yes.
stories, so they are a bit different. But fortunately, people did. Some of the directors liked it, and off went the project. Thanks to you.
Thank you for that, sir. But this is where I had my reasons for picking up the subjects and not flinching and going forward with it. But that was much later. The stories were already conceptualized, visioned, as well as penned by you. So take me to this journey today that we've got stories by Avijit Sarkar. There are 5 stories, friends, and I want to explore a brief of every story. The first one we'll go with would be Brothers in Arms. Let's pick that one first. That's a hot topic as well. So tell us a little more about Brothers in Arms. What is the audience to expect?
I have always been very keen, even as a cartoonist, as what people think and what they say and what they feel and what they show are usually a bit different, especially when it comes to religious topics on politics and so on. And then there are always 2 faces, always. Even I have 2 faces, by the way. So none of us are, exempt from that. So this story is something along those lines, which actually shows what is and what actually is.
Interesting. I like the way you have actually articulated that. I wouldn't have done it that way, but that's great. It creates just the amount of mystery around it, which is fantastic. So what about retake? It is all about mystery. So
it is that's a real mystery, that one. But it also has a little bit of glimpse about violence in families and domestic violence. Well, the story starts off with that and does bring forth a few issues that do happen in real life. But the end, but it's a mystery, and the end, there's a twist and a nice one. So hopefully people would enjoy, understand, and appreciate what the twist is about and how it came forth.
Which is great. So, I mean, moving into a nice end, we'll start with a nice beginning. We have a play called The Elevator Ride, and it starts with a very sweet conversation. What's that about?
Yes, this is an offshoot of violence too, in a different form. But it happens. The interesting thing is that the entire thing happens in a single elevator ride, and the tension builds up. It starts on a humorous note. There are a few very interesting humorous aspects to the play, which I'm sure people will identify and also enjoy. But over the play, it does get a bit serious, and it does go to a point which I wanted the audience to think about, which possibly not many have thought about it. And it converts itself slowly from humor to a rather serious note in the end.
Fair enough. And talking about serious note and tension, of course, the audiences are getting prepared for the next title, which is Uncomfortable, the Uncomfortable Truth. That's the fourth story. Um,
There are
what's uncomfortable about
there are few things we don't like to discuss. We all think about it, by the
it?
way, but we don't want to talk about it socially. We don't want to discuss that with friends. And that's why I called it the uncomfortable truth, because we feel uncomfortable talking about few things in society. It's not done in our societies,
True.
especially in South Asian societies from Pakistan or India or Sri Lanka. We don't talk about things. We know about it. Many of us have experienced it within the family itself, I know, but we still feel awkward talking about. So that this story is about that. It starts off with that. And it's also about the reactions, the common human reactions when such things are discussed. And I'd like to leave it at that.
Yes, absolutely. And it's great that it's a lovely point that you've left it at, because the common reactions, when you see it in its all honesty, it is quite impactful in itself. So it will be something which I'm sure the directors and the actors will come around and try to achieve. So finally, speaking about the final moment,
Yes.
what does this moment come down to?
All the plays you see that I write, even the short story, most of the short stories that I've written, not plays, I always like to play around with the ending a bit. That's, you call it my style if you like. I always like it. It comes down from reading a lot of O. Henry stories, which always end up a bit in strange endings. This one is also again a social issue, something that highly discussed everywhere. Not much is done about it, although. But this is about.
Part to that is, I'm interjecting there, is that you always think that it is happening, it happens, but it won't happen to me. And
yes,
this is a very it's a very interesting subject that you've picked up, and the way you've plotted the characters in it is highly interesting, and then how they collide with each other eventually is amazing. So how what would you like to share about that?
Well, as I said, this is about a topic we don't discuss again once more. But the point is that how, even when they are discussed, is there any punishment that's suitable for this kind of a crime? Is the question that ran through my mind when I was writing. So what's the punishment for this kind of thing? And that's what I want the audience to see.
Fair enough. And the audience, I'm sure, will be intrigued to the point that they might want to know, but are we kind of putting the audience only with a lot of messaging? What's the entertainment aspect of it, and what is the audience supposed to look for in the stories collectively?
Collectively, yes. Let me tell the audience that, or the viewers, that there is always a twist in my stories. It's not always as you think it will end. And I'll leave it at that, because I like taking the audience on a little ride and then bring them down to different pathways. That's my style of writing stories.
Great. So everyone, I think we're kind of creating a niche audience here. We've got thriller lovers, we've got mystery lovers, and then we've got lovers of dark humor. And of course, in general, everyone who loves to see theater and live performances. This is
and face some social truths.
Of course. Yes, and it is indeed something which I look forward to, that it comes to its fruition in the way you have envisioned. And so far, and just for the update for all of you who are watching right now, we do have our casting process at this stage today, as we record, almost completed. We still have a few roles to fill in, and come October, we will be sharing far more details about when is it happening, who's involved. And the next one, I hope we should actually talk about who the directors are.
Yes, that was one of the whole concept, is to introduce multiple directors in one evening. So I think you should talk about that to the viewers. Yes.
Absolutely. So, viewers, that would be, of course, our next video. And today, this is essentially where we are at. So, everything, I think we should be okay from here on, or is there something more that you'd like to share with the audience?
No, that's it. I think it's an excellent start. Especially the auditions were marvelously done. And the methodology used was really, really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So the project has started off, and that's the happy moment for all of us, I think.
Sure.
And a big thank you to the directors, to you, Taufeeq, for managing and producing the show, and all the actors who came in for the auditions. It was very good. And here we take off from now on into the
Of
future.
course. And we'll end with that. The crucial dates for next year for us is definitely the 18th and the 19th of February. So please save the date, and we will be in touch with you and give you more information about this slightly different form of theater we are trying to present to Sydney this year. So, oh, I beg your pardon, next year. But the preparations have already begun. So you will be basically finally seeing next year the journey of a year, which technically speaking began around in February last year anyway. So that's great. Life has come a full circle, literally.
Indeed.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. And audience,
Thank
you
you.
for tuning in as well. We will keep you posted a little more about as things process. And I appreciate all your support, and please save the date.
Thank you.
Thank you.